Hey, critics, and welcome back to the Critic Chronicles YouTube channel where you get commentary reviews and tabloid news. It's Sunday, October the 26th, 2025. Hey, critics, it's time to chronicle. Up first, y'all, let's pay homage to the music. With all the latest albums dropping, I went to billboard.com to sort of guide me this go round. And some of our favorite R&B, hip hop, as well as adult albums are also available on Hoopla. I'm going to specifically tell you which ones are and which ones are not. And be sure to stick around because I'm going to share more about Hoopla, which is a free platform accessible through your local library. Now, from the top, well, at the top, let's start with the hottest R&B songs, including Mutt by Leon Thomas, available on Hoopla with 14 songs, including the Mutt remix. And there's also a 2025 version called Mutt Deluxe Heal with 23 tracks. And Folded by Kaylani. I've been hearing that song everywhere, okay? A special version of the song, though, is available on Hoopla with the acapella instrumental and also a track titled Unfolded. Actually, it's pretty good. I had a chance to check that out. It Depends by Chris Brown featuring Bryson Tiller. Burning Blue by Mariah the Scientist is at the top, as well as Yukon by Justin Bieber. And the top R&B albums include SOS by SZA, available on Hoopla. It's been on the chart for a minute. Way to go, SZA. Swag, which is the latest album by Justin Bieber, and also Swag 2. The first one though is the one that's at the top in terms of those top R&B charts. And also, side note, when I looked at the category through Hoopla, Swag was actually under pop, and so was the Chris Brown album. Chris Brown, his latest album was under pop. At least it was in Hoopla, right? But when I look at the Billboard charts, they're charting on the R&B charts, not the pop necessarily. Maybe it's both. Maybe they kind of put them in both categories, R&B and pop. But when I was looking at that detail, I was like, interesting. Anyway, I just kind of wish that the Hoopla would also recognize it as them considering it to be pop and R&B, so that it can be, more aligned with what the charts got. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, something small, but little things that can make a big difference, right? Some Sexy Songs. That's an album by Party Next Door. Thriller by Michael Jackson. Not surprised because, of course, every year around this season, Thriller comes to the top. And also, Hurry Up Tomorrow by The Weeknd is also at the top in terms of R&B albums, and it's also available on Hoopla. And now this hip hop album genre. Let's talk about that real quick. Am I the Drama by Cardi B is also available on Hoopla. In fact, every one that I'm going to name in the hip hop category, all of these albums are available on Hoopla. Massa, Young Boy, Never Broke Again is available. Hamilton, An American Musical. Take Care by Drake, as well as The Last One by Ghana. And finally, y'all, the top adult airplay tracks are Keep Me in Love by Charlie Wilson, Residuals by Chris Brown, Right on Time by Leela James, from her latest album called To Be Honest, on Hoopla right now, and Rock With Me, Kim, by Kim. Although the Rock With Me album is not on Hoopla, many of his other albums are. Y'all, Kim has, like, I listened to all those albums. Shout out to Kim, okay? And Just a Matter of Time by Jay Brown featuring October London. And side note, if you are a Gucci Man fan and you listen to a lot of his music, his latest album, Episodes, is also streaming on Hoopla right now. The album has 23 tracks, and producers on the album include Go Grizzly, Pooh Beats, as well as London J, and The Honorable C Note, just to name a few. And although I have not listened to the full Breakfast Club interview that Gucci Man did with his wife Keisha Kaur last week, I did listen to most of it. I know that kind of like the cycle has passed, but I do want to give a shout out to anybody who knowingly has a mental health disorder or a challenge, who basically takes full responsibility for it. Shout out to those taking control of it by just kind of getting the help you need to stabilize your condition and prevent any or as many episodes as you can through proper treatment, a healthy balance of maybe medication, even maybe a holistic approach, although that may not always be the most popular approach. But if that's the approach that works for you, go you. Now, critics, let's go black on the inside of People Magazine's November 3rd issue. On the cover, Elizabeth Taylor with the caption, Sex, Diamonds, and Secrets, honey, because diamonds are a girl's best friend. Ain't that right, Elizabeth? LeBron James was caught saying, If I've got to fight, crawl, scratch, bite to keep my relationship, I've got to do what I've got to do. That's what he said about his relationship with his wife, Savannah James. And Niecy Nash, she also chatted about her wife, Jessica Betts, saying, "My juju is good and strong, honey. My marriage is hot." Her wife, Jessica, and also Debrat, they did a song together called Have You to Myself, and it's also out right now. You can check that out actually on YouTube. And Janet Jackson is on page 4, looking radiant in red at the inaugural British Museum Gala in London on October the 18th. And side note, it looks like Janet Jackson and her niece Paris Jackson was caught embracing at the Paris Fashion Week festivities a few weeks ago. And reportedly, Janet may be helping her niece with the Michael Jackson estate. Well, they say Janet and the Janet Jackson family, they basically had kind of little contact with Paris and her siblings. She has 2 brothers after Michael suffered a fatal overdose of the prescription medication propofol at age 50. The estate is worth an estimated $2 billion, and the Jackson family has been estranged from Michael's kids since his death and even accused the Jackson family of trying to seize control of their dad's estate. Now, the true divide, I guess, happened when the 3 kids agreed to sell half of their father's music catalog to Sony for a whopping $600 million, despite Catherine's, which is his mom, unsuccessful court fight to keep the asset within the family. Now, Paris added fuel to the fire by blasting the upcoming biopic of her father on social media, even though the film is expected to rake in millions and millions and millions of dollars. That's what they say anyway. Now, I wonder if it's true that Janet is actually stepping in to assist the kids with the estate side of things, especially since Catherine also has that lawsuit as well against the estate. So tell me below if y'all know what's going on with the Jacksons and the Michael Jackson estate. As I get more, I'm going to share it with you as well. And speaking of legends passing away, the death of D'Angelo, who passed away at 51, is featured on page 15. He passed away on October the 14th of pancreatic cancer. He was reportedly in hospice, y'all, for they say 2 weeks, but had been in the hospital for months. He has a 27-year-old son that he shared with Angie Stone, who died in a tragic car accident in March, and was reportedly by D'Angelo's side the entire time that he was battling, it looks like, pancreatic cancer. D'Angelo also has 2 other children as well, not by Angie Stone, but they're also grieving the death of their father. D'Angelo, of course, released 3 studio albums, earned 4 Grammys, and truly made neo soul a vibe with his sound. How does it feel? I don't know if I was listening to baby. I know I wasn't listening to the song. I just saw the body, yada, 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 yada in the video. Okay. And although he was an artist, the article says that D'Angelo was actually a recluse and he did not like going out the house that much. D'Angelo, you like to be at home? Okay, homebody, yaddy. I'm actually looking forward to a future documentary or a movie about D'Angelo, and I wonder if they would consider kind of coupling it with Angie Stone, just because they died in the same exact year. Like that would be very interesting to see. But I have not heard an actual even rumor about a documentary or a movie being made by D'Angelo. I'm just putting that out there into the universe right now myself. May he rest in peace along with Angie Stone. Love is Blind alumni Cameron Hamilton, as well as Lauren Speed Hamilton, welcomed their son Ezra on October the 1st and are photographed on page 6. And Missy Elliott, she's on page 8, performing at the Victoria's Secret runway event, performing her hit songs like Get Your Freak On and Lose Control. Music make me lose control. Here we go. Oh, 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 oh. I'm going to stop now. The all-female lineup included Madison Beer, Carol G, and K-pop stars twice, who all performed at the Victoria's Secret runway event. And the model that stole the show, though, was none other than WNBA star Angel Reese. She stole it with her runway walk, her height, her athletic curves. You know what I'm saying? All the build. You know, somebody that probably ain't got to prepare before she goes on the runway in terms of the body because it's already where it needs to be. But I heard that there was a famous person who helps the models with their walks who came out of retirement and helped Angel Reese show the body as she walked down the runway. Well, Angel is the first professional athlete to walk the event's runway and stunned in two of the brand's ensembles, including that fluffy shawl and a pair of wings. Because all you need is the wings. You understand what I'm saying? All you need, come on, is the wings. And who better to wear them than an angel? Okay. I think it kind of went all together. Now, she talked to People magazine before the show that participating was a surreal and full circle moment for her. I also did a story on the fact that Victoria's Secret poached the Fenty Beauty CEO, which is why the critics believe that and know basically that their show was so diverse this season because they got the inside scoop from a person who was already inside of the Fenty Beauty brand. Okay. Now, they stole the person who knows the Fenty brand blueprint. So, how could they get it wrong, right? Well, Victoria's Secret, their show, has, of course, been a popular thing in our world for a while. However, because of, was it bankruptcy? Did Victoria's Secret go bank? They changed CEOs. There was a lot of controversy with that. Also, kind of caught them up in the Epstein stuff as well. So some of the leaders that are in Victoria's Secret was also caught up in that whole Epstein thing, y'all. I will not. That's a show for another day, right? But the Victoria's Secret show just returned last fall. If you remember, Tyra Banks was the one who closed it out last time, so that was last year. And while I, just like many critics, have not heard anybody mention shopping Victoria's Secret since the existence of Savage Fenty, they still went forward with the show because it must go on, right? I just do not. I mean, correct me in my comments if I'm wrong, but I don't hear nobody talk about Victoria's Secret anymore. But either way, congrats to all the ladies who walked the runway at Victoria's Secret runway show. And I guess they was right about you, Angel. Modeling is one of your callings. And Ao Edaberry is looking chic in Chanel in London on October the 11th. And of course, Whitney Houston, she's on page 19, being honored for 40 years. Because on this day, 40 years ago, October the 26th, 1985, Whitney Houston scored her first #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 with Saving All My Love for You. What a classic. And the second single from her, that was the second, single from her album, Whitney Houston. And her next two tracks, How Will I Know, as well as Greatest Love of All, followed suit, making Whitney Houston the first female solo artist to produce 3 consecutive #1 singles. And if you're looking for some holiday movie ideas and you're ready to get into the spirit, you can begin on page 50, where they give the TV viewing guide for the coziest season of the year. Hallmark, of course, is one of the streaming services mentioned, and there is a special pass via Hoopla called Binge Pass, which it basically gives users unlimited access to like exclusive new original series, reality shows, movies, and other feel-good content featuring some of the beloved Hallmark stars. The pass also offers a huge selection of Hallmark rom-coms, cozy mysteries, heartfelt dramas, and all your favorite holiday films, including they have like a very cozy, spooktacular collection. So if you're into like a lot of the spooky movies or you want something around that season, it's a little limited, but you can catch that now. So you might be asking yourself, what is Hoopla? Well, Hoopla is a free streaming platform made possible through our local library. Here at the Critic Chronicles, our goal is to provide quality but juicy content from websites, digital magazines, and tabloids, most of which are sourced through our public libraries. Research from the National Library of Medicine show that there are an estimated 17,000 public libraries nationwide, totaling 4 million visits each day. Public libraries are civic organizations that are committed to providing invaluable resources beyond books that are free and open to the public. Get your library card to access thousands of resources today. And while I'm talking about Hoopla, I'm going to make a little side note, because if you have your Hoopla account already set up, you can search for Lifetime in the search engine, and a lot of Lifetime presents and movies basically published by Lifetime will also appear. And while no, it's not necessarily like the binge pass, right? So the binge pass allows you to basically purchase like the Hallmark Plus, whatever the binge pass might be, and that's one library borrow. But these Lifetime movies that I'm mentioning, it'll be like one borrow for each movie that you watch. But either way, like they always typically have some of the latest movies. I think that was how I was able to watch that one with Megan Good, and it was by Terry McMillan. So one of hers was actually on Hoopla as well. So it was one by Megan Good. Let me correct myself. So it was one by Megan Good, and it was another movie. It was a different movie actually by Terry McMillan. But I was able to catch both of those movies, and it was actually through Hoopla, the free streaming platform, because I had no access at the time to any sort of lifetime streaming service. Okay, so with that being said, every now and then you're able to kind of go in and get some different perks. That's one of the reasons why I talk about some of the free platforms that are available through our local library. Some of the other movies that I actually had a chance to watch was a Keisha Cole has her movie on there. I watched it through Hoopla, and also Not My Family, the Monique Smith story. It's the movie about the black girl who had like a terrible childhood with the family that she found out wasn't even her real family. And then one more, y'all, Desire. It's called Desire, and it's with Tasha Smith, and it's also a 2025 release. So many of these movies that I'm talking about are movies that was basically released in 2025. But essentially, to make a long story short that I'm already making long, y'all get your library card, okay? Thanks again, y'all, for tuning into the Critic Chronicles YouTube channel, where you get commentary, reviews, and tabloid news. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload.